2W 这支战队的话，其实给我们的印象可能还是比较活跃的吧，特别是中南德维密，就是一个词就总结下来就是比较爱乱跑吧。然后就可能他们这种打法，如果我们能稳下来的话，其实就是过来可能类似送死的吧，然后就是可能需要抓一下这些机会吧。
Yeah, always interesting to hear from another mid lane to another mid laner. You all right over there? Are you okay?
Oh boy. That was an interesting terminology though. Map active. And I like how confident Shahu was to say, we just have to wait for them to come and feed us after they lose game 1. Bit of a salt in the wound there. You okay with your chip?
Yeah,
Excuse me, is it Chris?
Didn't give me any warhorse, so no way to wash it down. Yeah.
As we drive our Mercedes.
Anyways, we're heading into our second game here in Beijing. Rogue Warriors versus RNG. On the cusp of Rogue Warriors. They're in the throne room right now. They're ready. They've got the dagger in hand.
He looks ready.
SMLZ's the guy, by the way. He's got his dagger, and he's like, I'm about to slide this into the Monarch.
And there has been a roster change as the Monarch is scrambling to retain their position. It's going to be MLXG out and Karsa in. And we had some questions early on in the day, you know, this idea that Royal Never Give Up have been experimenting with their roster, but as Rusty was saying on the desk earlier, they do so to close. You know, this isn't experimentation in terms of let's just throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. They're still trying to win here, and they have the potential that they could just play Abel. Like, they could play the standard RNG without Uzi, and yet they still keeping Zatai, keeping Let Me, and instead starting to experiment with their jungle position this time.
It's always something different. And because they have so many different people they can throw onto this roster, like even without Uzi, you've got Abel, you've got Karsa, there are many different ways you can slice this cake, and they're just trying something new every single time. I believe this is the 5th different iteration we've seen of RNG in the last 5 games.
But ultimately, you have Rogue Warriors on the other side who only do one thing. They throw one punch, but if it lands, you go down, and it starts with this guy, Flawless. So Flawless now versus Karsa, both very cerebral-oriented junglers. I feel like Flawless a little bit more on the edge of the true carnivore, whereas Karsa's a bit more of an omnivore. He can play a carnivore, he can play a herbivore, but it's about tracking and kind of what he's doing with the information, whereas Flawless is about acquiring power and then dueling the enemy jungler.
Yeah, I think that right now, RNG needs something like...
RNG 的话，他们因为有2个3单嘛，然后这版本的话，其实也可以是 AD 去，就是上单去打 AD 啊，就玩一些就发育的英雄嘛，所以我觉得他们换线也经常换的，就是经常很多线都一直换来换去嘛，就很搞不懂嘛，所以我们要比较小心他这个。
Yeah, fair enough. I think the RNG, what they really need right now is a scalpel, you know, like a sharp instrument, whereas MLXG is like a club, right? He's like a blunt instrument. Like, he'll come at you, and if he hits you with the club, you're going down, you know, the same way the Rogue Warriors hit your punch, you're going down. But right now, they actually need to track what Rogue Warriors are doing and hit them before they hit first.
I just love how we've now had 2 interviews from both teams, and they just seem very confused about what the other is doing. Shao was like, yeah, they just love to run around the map, and we just need to wait for them to run into us. And then RNG are like, yeah, they keep running around the map. I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, it's fair. I mean, it's pretty true, actually. If you don't know what you're doing, then how does the enemy know what you're doing?
And what it has become in the LPL is, especially in our mid games, I feel like we're not as strong as we once were. I think we have kind of an interesting read on the current meta right now in terms of how we transition from our early game, especially if we don't get snowballs, into closing around our mid and our late game. Our vision control has never been the strongest. It's gotten better than it was, you know, memes aeons ago. But it creates this problem where we tend to ARAM a lot, or games are decided off of one big team fight or one big pick because we're not setting up the proper vision to get the proper information to start manufacturing fights. Instead, we just seem to randomly fight them in the LPL.
A rare picture of SMLZ smiling. Yeah, if you need more information, you can check out my emotional SMLZ chart on Twitter, where I've detailed exactly what he gets excited about, primarily when he deals the most damage in a game. So typically you'll see him do champions in which he can do that.
And it's just really a shame that we don't get to see SMLZ versus Uzi today. That one is a tale as old as time.
True, but an injury is an injury. Still on stage right now, here in Beijing, 700 strong, this arena. It's a big one. They've got their flags, they've all got their own flares.
The light bright signage today is pretty out of control. I feel like the Beijing fans are just popping off.
Yeah, there's a great sign for SMLZ, I believe. It says Smiles. That's a strong one. There's also just a lot of pictures of the players. Absolutely love it. That one for Ming There you go. Ming's getting more and more fans recently as well, of course, seeing himself on many the international stage and many the good performance. And I will say, since the first time I was seeing Ming, this guy has definitely grown up.
Yeah, really a breakout star, especially at this most recent MSI. Personally, I feel that Ming is the best acting support in the league right now, which is big shoes to fill because Mako is not a slouch, and nor is Mako starting to fall off anytime soon. So I hope we get to see these teams clash again. Unfortunately for Mako, RNG got the better of EDG the last time that these faced, and we won't see them again unless they clash in probably finals, if history tells us anything.
It's true. Doesn't matter what happens in regular season or even playoffs, apparently. It's always going to be an EDG RNG final.
Unless Rogue Warriors decide to just drop the hammer now and say, no, 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 there's a new sheriff in town.
Oh, I'm ready for it. It's a sledgehammer, thank you very much. The difference. Stake is the guy who is at the helm of this ship. RNG and Rogue Warriors coming into game 2 here. We'll be banning away the Claire, that's a Doinby ban right there, followed by a Luke, that's a Doinby ban right there, and followed by a Camille towards Rogue Warriors.
Which is also technically still a Doinby nerf because Galio is a big pick for him, and if you take away the Camille, you lose one of the aspects of that strong cannonball composition. I expect this would be a priority pick for a jungler, although with the Talia ban, it's either going to be Kindred Nocturne if they want to reach for the jungle right here. Makes sense. I watch a lot of the drafts.
Yep. Checks out. On the opposite side, Talia, the Swain, and the Aatrox, of course, on red side coming in from Rogue Warriors to choose this one for game 2. And RNG will pick up the first pick of the Kindred.
Play Lee Sin.
Oh, this is the time, isn't it?
Oh,
this is the time.
So, oh no, don't do it!
No. Oh.
Okay, so the mentality here was usually Kindred, as Rusty was talking about on the analyst desk, has really been cropping up a lot, and she turns into a massive counter against Nocturne because he wants the assassination, the dive potential. She throws down the Lamb's Respite and denies any of that. Now, what I wanted Flawless to do is go back to his signature pick of Lee Sin so he could kick...
roundhouse him.
Exactly. Kick Kindred off the circle and really decide who is going to be the ultimate duelist as well as have kill pressure. Now, it's not the greatest matchup. It's very hard for Lee Sin, so I understand why he went for the Nocturne. You still have a lot more versatility and viability in the jungle versus something like Lee Sin, but I wanted it just for old time's sake.
I mean, just think of the potential, man. I had so many, like, you know, kick him out of the ring jokes to come out there. Now I'm not going to say any of them. Hopefully that Nocturne goes mid and Vedius gets his time in the light and we get a decent jungle. Oh well, RNG will pick up the Rise over towards them, so it's actually technically a takeaway from Doinby at the same time, and a Shen pickup for them as well. Yeah,
also picking the Shen into the Nocturne here. We've seen this done a couple of times, but I feel like this is still just about empowering the bottom lane, so we'll see what type of bruisers Zatai is going to grab. The Swain's not available, but you know, anything like a Darius or anything that has hard CC, Shen is just such a strong laner, and it's so punishing because you already saw the Rakan. Like, normally if you see the Shen, you quickly grab the Tahm Kench, but Rogue Warriors have already locked themselves into the spot lane.
That was a great sign. Anyway, Rogue Warriors will pick up the Mouse. There we go. I feel more at home now. Mouse picking up a tank into the top lane. He's had his time as a big carry out there in his Kennen. Now he's going to bring the Mundo back. It's not banned out at last series, actually. He could have picked it last series as last game as well. It's a not ban, actually giving some prio to Mouse on the top side, deleting some of those strong counters on the top side.
Yeah, I think you need to give Mouse as much space as possible. Rogue Warriors have said it repeatedly in interviews that they feel that they're going to win the game as long as Mouse gets through the lane phase fine. So just recognizing his importance of the tank and just going to make sure that the guy who's going to soak all the damage survives.
Yeah, it's on the RNG who are without an Uzi, so it's highly unlikely they're going to send a Vayne into the top lane. You see, you're probably like, that's pretty random, but they've done it before in a split. Xayah, let me ban here.
They should ban Kai'Sa next, unless they think that Lucian is going to be that much of a threat. So I expect probably another ADC ban, either Lucian or the Kai'Sa, especially because all of the tools set up for Rogue Warriors right now, it just makes sense. Watch SMLZ just throw it all out the window and go on Heimerdinger.
Fair, Heimerdinger, Karthus, picked up the Sivir the other day as well. Wouldn't, by the way. So Zoe ban towards Xiaohu, that one was a major pain in the arse.
But that means that they believe that Zatai is taking hold of the Rise, and that it's going to be Rise, Shin in the bottom, or at least trying to make sure that that would be the case. Wow, it's not going to be Lucian or Kai'Sa, it's going to be the Varus.
And SMLZ's like, I can't hold all of these great AD carries, which one I go for? I guess it's going to be a Lucian game today, isn't it?
That is happiness in its purest form from SMLZ.
Absolutely is.
Gets an MVP performance in game number 1 on the champion, and then immediately gets to rock it up in game number 2. And it does not well against the Shin, but it's going to be able to survive the lane. You have the added benefit of the mobility by having access to your E, so the taunt, as long as you play it well, isn't going to be that damaging.
This is great. This is a great day for SMLZ. RNG back into them. Last time they first picked the Darius, remember? So now we're going to have a 4th pick of the Darius, but still giving it over to Let Me in the top side. Major problem for Rogue Warriors in a lot of those fights. He was only down to a little bit of a misexecution in the final one, finding execute onto a Guardian Angel, where he could have popped off again, but not to be the case. Still a major threat in the top side. Now RNG looking towards their final pick here.
Probably going to be another bruiser, since I assume that Shin is going to be the support Shin. So this is either going to be Let Me or Zatai's pickup. Looks like it's going to be Let Me pickup. He is the resident Ornn expert of RNG.
He is indeed. Most of the tanks will go over towards him.
Now, already the engage potential and the amount of CC that RNG have scattered all over the composition, if it ever gets ahead, it's devastating, and you're never going to get away from them.
Yeah.
That composition is so obnoxious.
I mean, very similar to this first game, right? Where we look at RNG and it's like, well, that's a lot of bruises. They get ahead, it's going to be pretty difficult to stop them. On the opposite side, Rogue Warriors. That's going to be an Orianna pickup, actually. So we'll see where that one will go. Presumably Doinby into the mid lane.
Otherwise, a fairly stock standard comp coming out of Rogue Warriors. They've got their marksman, they have their traditional mage in the mid lane, which is very surprising because it's still Doinby, but a lot of bans leveraged his way.
True, but also technically a shield pick. Orianna's done very well in the LPL so far, rocking a 72% win rate over 11 games. Will come in for the 12th right here as well. Now, Lulu was banned out against Doinby. Now, we also do see him move towards something like a Karma if he's also looking for a shield pick. So he's moving to an Orianna right here for also a little bit more bite into that mid lane as well. And also, we've seen a pretty good amount of Orianna cropping up recently. I think of Y4, some earlier today, in fact.
Again,
a lot of Orianna.
On 8.13, Orianna did get some love back into her kit. I believe it's her W cooldown. Yep, was reduced, but you're going to max attack or command attack anyway, which is the Q, but then having your W on a lower cooldown means that since you're not putting more points in it anyway, you just get added bang for your buck. You get to throw out your command attack, you get to press the dissonance more often, makes your trades feel a little bit better, you got nice push potential, it just feels good.
It's all good all around for Orianna. We're seeing a little bit more of it in the LPL right here. And the second game in Beijing. Now, RNG trying something new once again, and I'm trying to think, are they just trying to get different iterations of their roster on stage right now? Because it's like, well, if Uzi goes down, what's our backup alternative? So far, I would say the second game that we saw the last time they played against FPX in the studio just a couple of days ago was probably the best iteration I saw, and that was with Abel in the bottom lane, actually bringing in their other
We only
AD
saw
carry.
17 seconds of that game, Pulse.
That's true. Actually, yeah, that's true. But from all those 17 seconds, I was like, this is the RNG I want.
I finally have to look at something for 17 seconds. I want it to look like that.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, it was a good, like, 23 minutes of gameplay. But that's where they found the most success, because they ended up going 1-2 in that series. And this one could end up being a 0-2 here against Rogue Warriors. They are looking to play.
Yeah, but if you go back and look at the VOD, the real break point for RNG in that series when they're successful was between their jungle and mid. So right now, Karsa and Xiaohu taking the stage for them, Ryze and Kindred, so much gank potential, so much lockdown and kill pressure between those two champions. And RNG need to prove that they can still build a roster around Xiaohu, that they are still great, even without Uzi.
They need to. Rogue Warriors, the Rogue is descending now upon the King. Can Royal stop this from happening? Can they shut him down? We'll find out as I hand it over to Beijing.
A lot of Rogue Warriors fans continuing to follow this revenge tour on the road. I know that Doinby made a ton of global fans after his Rift Rivals appearance and being recognized for that standout performance on his Kled. So it's nice to see some of that love continue back domestically.
Yeah, I mean, often when you hear the crowd chants coming in from the home arenas, it's obviously a major majority to the home team, but I would say that was close to 50-50. Not in terms of the fan vote. Definitely not in the fan vote, but in terms of the people in the venue, definitely more of a 50-50. So Rogue Warriors built quite the fan base for themselves.
And already we've got a lot of confusion across the map. Mouse was correct. He's like, I don't know what's happening. Let Me's in the mid lane. Xiaohu's in the bot lane. Our Observer's struggling with it.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, all right, what are we doing? What are we doing? It's Xiaohu in the bottom side, yeah. Zatai on the top side with Darius into Mundo, so it makes sense. Good matchup.
Yep, it's about prioritizing your matchups and making sure that you're getting the good matchups where you want. Now, Ornn is just whatever. He's a tank. He's got good kill pressure, or he's got good CC, so he can set up for kills. He has good push pressure, even though he's had a couple of nerfs on 8-13. But more importantly for me is this Ryze Shen combo. The kill pressure that you have on this lane is absolutely disgusting. So Karsa starts top side, make sure that he gets access to the scuttle, and is now pathing his way towards bottom.
Is that over there? Flawless, wow, is on his blue buff. Towards Carter as well. Yeah, he's heading towards that bottom side, as you mentioned.
Which is why the vision that Flawless has set up in that bottom river is so important, because they recognize, hey, at this point in the laning phase, SMLZ and Kahlua will be far forward. They're going to have the push advantage. We need to cover their flank. So that's back-to-back games now where Rogue Warriors have done a great job recognizing the power windows that the enemy composition has to destroy SMLZ and Kahlua and setting themselves up for success.
And of course, trying to absorb that pressure. Karsa moving into the mid lane. Doimi low on mana on this one. Sends out Wolf, and here comes Letme as well. Looking for the charge. Finds it onto Doimi. Gets the knock up. The chase down continues. Got to find the mark for the kill. Easy first blood for RNG.
And the thing was, is it looked like Karsa was actually going to let that one go. You know, he didn't immediate flash. It looked like he was about to disengage, just take the flash for it. But it was Letme that said, no, no.
Whoa, fellow Flawless. He's found Karsa. He knows he's without flash on this one. Letme going to be slow to the play, but gets the smite.
He's in trouble.
Karsa looking to turn this one around now with Letme, punches his pillar, and Flawless will escape from this one.
If the pillar placement had just been a little bit different, that could have been bad news bears for Flawless. Ultimately though, I believe Karsa also got the big Raptor as well as the first blood, so huge win for this Kindred, and you can see it's going to continue to go bottom, which means SMLZ and Kahlua need to start backing up now. Very early ward went up into the brush. Yeah. It's been pinged, but I think he just runs in. He's just going to run in.
He's just going to go straight there. Oh, flash into the dash right there from Ming. Follow through the Rune Prison out onto SMLZ. He'll flash away. Kahlua under attack. He'll jump back towards his ADC.
And that is now, what, 3 ganks? Technically 2 ganks in the last 4 minutes. But yeah, 2.5, especially taking the Raptor away. Karsa is on fire and showcasing why he was brought in for game number 2.
Exactly that. I mean, that's the point, right? It's like RNG made one change to their roster. It was Karsa. It was like, what's the problem here? What's flawless in the early game? How can we shut him down? The blunt instrument isn't working. Let's bring in Karsa. And so far, it's working out wonders.
And Kesman and Hart went on the record saying that at MSI, you know, because they played MLXG for 99% of it, only pulling Karsa in the very last series against Kingzone. But meanwhile, in the back, Karsa was just studying the jungle pathing, trying to figure out where he was going to attack, how he was going to set up his plan, and he effectively became the secret weapon. So I've always thought that the idea of having a multiple man roster, especially in the jungle position, would be the most devastating for League of Legends because it's the most cerebral role, but it's never really been executed quite as cleanly as MLXG and Karsa might be able to pull off.
I actually really just like watching the Zatai lane, actually. Of course, last game it was Letme using that Darius. Into the matchup. It was into a cannon actually from Mouse. This time he's got a different top laner to play in Zatai. He's picking up the Darius here. There's just small things right there. I don't know if that was intentional tech coming out from him, but he used the apprehend when there was a cannon in front, used the hitbox as we look for a bit of a trade down in the bottom lane.
They need to be careful, they don't have flash.
Out. That's into Rune Prison, finds the double taunt as well, and SMLZ's just going to fall right here into that aftershock, and now Kahlua on the retreat. He's out of mana, and that overload tagged him. He's still under fire. Ming chasing him down, waiting for this dash to come up. Flash forwards, finish him off, auto attack into the overload. 2 kills on the bottom side.
But meanwhile, top side.
Karsa falling through into Mouse. He's low. Minion wave about to crack. It's cannon no less as well. And Mouse, he is caught thoroughly in this trap. Karsa finds the kill.
And across the map, Rogue Warriors are hemorrhaging. This is another lane phase gone awry. And back-to-back games, RNG are looking for a big snowball. Now, in game number 1, they didn't quite get the snowball that they needed to really take advantage of mid-game. But in game number 2, now 4 kills up and looking
Don't
for round 2.
complete the teleport. Mouse, level 5, no sadism. Xiaohu on his way to the top lane. They're even waiting for the mark right here as well for Karsa before they finish their food. Karsa finds another.
This is just absolutely disgusting to watch from RNG and Rogue Warriors. I don't know what to do. They're everywhere on the map.
This is absurd. That's his 4th mark of the game. Casa, with 6 minutes in, man. 3 kills right here. Has picked up the Warriors enchant on top of the skirmishes. This is a massive Kindred.
And we need to go all the way back to kind of where everything fell apart. There is no reason for Kahlua and SMLZ to be standing here. Now, the big mistake is I believe that they're going to stand together. And as soon as Ming sees that, of course he's up. Nope. It's actually Kahlua just looking for the exchange. Wow. Then they come back. Shin knows that they don't have the cleanse, that they don't have the flash. Shin's such a good pick into Rakan because of that, because when he dashes back, as long as you have your taunt, it's almost guaranteed that you're going to hit 2 people. Now, I don't think he hit 2 people there. I think Rakan was able to sidestep it, but just...
You're going to hit somebody.
Disgusting.
Is the point. And then that was just the teleport being used by Mouse. He dies once. This is the first time he died.
And it's just the EXP difference. The fact that Zatai has access to level 6, they made sure that they made the gank happen when Mouse was level 5.
Yeah.
Didn't have access to getting that health back. And then, like you said, went for the double teleport, and Carson just planted his feet and waited.
He's just stuck around, the classic solo Q cheese, and they even brought in Xiaohu as well for the fun, securing the kill. I mean, Mouse actually saved his flash the first time around and was like, alright, maybe second time at full health underneath the tower, we can make this happen, but just played around the fact he was level 5 versus level 6, and now there's a huge differential on the top side.
Are they gonna gank bottom? They are. There's no reason why you take the blast cone otherwise. He wants to ult in with Shockwave.
He's got the ball on top of him. Oh, it's timed out though. Joinby didn't use the ultimate just yet, but he's got underneath the tower! Flawless! Way too deep. I saw it. They knew what the play was, but misexecution.
And this is so typical of Rogue Warriors. You know what they want to do, and he even kind of agree with it, but it just comes down to sloppy execution. He just basically power inted.
That's what it was, but that was an assist on the int right there. Joinby enabled him. That was the problem. Because he realized he didn't even activate the shockwave, because he was just like, you need to activate the paranoia closer to the target so he's still in range of the ball, but that was not the case. He could zone away, however, Ming moving to the top side, but he's zoning for Casa. Casa's like, alright, fine, I'll just take the dragon for myself.
And it's not even just the dragon, it's the fact that Lemmy's just been sitting in the mid lane like, this is cool. I'm just going to get all of this gold and all of this experience for free.
He's having a great time. Old mid lane on. He's facing down Doinby. Doinby's the first one to do this. Bring out on to the mid lane, so it's like, have a taste of your own medicine. Flawless, perfect timing on the Umbra Blades now. Of course, that wasn't intentional, but feels good when you can actually sweep up the rest of those crooks. And Mouse on the top side, just getting demolished. Almost a 30 CS difference between him and Zatai.
And it's going to get worse because RNG have multiple places that they want to attack on this map. So what they could do is Xiaohu and Ming can continue to terrorize SMLZ and Kahlua, continue to stack their hearts. You see, had the kill pressure. Or, now that Shin is post-level 6, if Zatai really wants to get frisky underneath this tower, then Mouse is going to be in a whole world of hurt. So I see Karsa pathing up there. He wants to grab the Scuttle Crab. I have a feeling that if Mouse doesn't back up and give this tower away from free, that RNG will pull the trigger on that anyway. In fact, you see the pings already. Come on, Mouse. You know that this is coming.
Yeah. I mean, we saw this in game 1, right, when he was on that cannon, and it was very clear where the enemy jungler was going. No camps, no nothing.
He
Walked
has
over
a
ward.
family!
Not anymore.
Run!
That's fine. That means got the ward.
It's not worth it. It's not worth it.
Come on, Carson, you could have given that goal over to this time, but there's one beefy Kindred. 4 kills plus tower gold. He's essentially 5-0-0 at this point in the game. Picked up boots on top of that. Gonna fall by that one at 10 minutes. Flawless on the bottom side of the map finds Kahlua. And just walking over this ward as it dies. Doesn't even know it's going to be there because it actually dies outside of vision. Double unlucky for Flawless. And he is just getting read like a book this game. And Casa, he's even on the Herald. So this is going from bad to worse. And RNG, all the right steps are happening for them, and are even setting them up in the right way as well.
It's a much stronger snowball from game number 1, but we have seen RNG reach this point and then continue to stall out. Their last few games have been rather rough for them. They do look more composed for this series, though, I'll say that. But for Rogue Warriors, it's kind of the same boat that they were in last time. And we know that they can play from behind, so I'm not willing to give up hope just yet, but they need to hunker down, go into the bomb shelter, and wait this one out for a little bit, looking for those 2 to 3 item power spikes again.
Wait for that Typhoon to pass over. Never actually hit, by the way. Just kind of disappeared. I was expecting it, and it's just like, oh, it's just a bit windy. That was pretty much it.
I don't know about you, but if I had taken my shampoo and conditioner into the street today, I probably could have gotten a nice wash.
That's true. Maybe I'll try it tonight. Joinby pushes up the mid lane. Just notice that Flawless is behind. He's setting up potential traps in these lanes right now with the Paranoia. He's level 7 to level 8, however, in terms of the jungle levels. And Zatai is just rotating around the top side, gaining control, and even just flirting love taps in terms of the vision, pushing it a little bit deeper, see how far they can go. And Mouse and Flawless also tag teaming up. So Rogue Warriors going into the defensive curl right here, and I like to see it because usually they'll just keep on punching. That's not what they want to do. As Caster again is invading into the bottom side, just going to be spotting out Kahlua. Ward over the wall, takes out the blast cone. Yeah, I'm thinking he thinks about it. He doesn't know who's there because they don't have vision currently of the Nocturne.
They did see him clearing out vision on the top side though,
okay.
so they know that he's top side, which is why Kindred is being so aggressive. I think what it was is that they didn't want to push their luck, knowing that both the cleanse and flashes were available, as well as it being a Rakan with ultimate. It's you know, kind of high risk, okay reward, whereas you could just wait for the Scuttle Crab and the Raptor Camp to spawn, which is what Kars is on right now. Grab that, and then your wave is probably much better setup if you want to try to force this bottom tower. But it looks like they're actually going to rotate mid with Herald.
Yeah, why would you just place that ward in front of me? You know, you try and bait me into 30 gold, it's not worth it. Liam Shelley, bottom side of mid, 5-man push on this. Doinby, I mean, theoretically, Noriana is a great champion in the situation, throw out the ball, use it as a zoning tool, but there are too many people, and the flank is being covered by Ming and Jiaohu. It's going to be a tower takedown. It's not going to be another push coming out from RNG, though they did in the first, but they will crack the outer mid lane turret, and it seems like there are just nothing to stop them right here, unless they get caught out. But this is... Rusty hates it when I say this, but we are on track for a perfect game, because we're 30 minutes in, and nothing for Rogue Warriors so far.
I mean, it's been very formulaic about how they're attacking the map and when they're attacking it. So Dragon spawning in 120, just the bottom outer tower standing still. And you see Rogue Warriors, their classic response, they're trying to line up the Paranoia.
Gonna flash in, got the charm, got everything. Caster coming in from behind, but he just needs to get on top of his allies so he can pop the respite. And everyone, the whole family's here! Kahlua is dead, however, and here comes the Ram looking to run someone over. The Stampede comes through onto SMLZ, and he's going to fall for seconds.
And RNG just seemed to turn it on. This time around, though, they don't fall into the same trap that worked in game number 1, but they read it like a book. They had the Shin available. Nocturne was not in position just yet, just too far away, doesn't have access to the second point in the ultimate, so doesn't have the extended range.
I mean, if Caster's not the protagonist of the story, I don't know who is. 6-0-0, moving towards his second item right now. That's the kunai. We can see that again, and it was actually started by Rogue Warriors.
This is, again, classic Rogue Warriors. They try to force something, but they just slightly fumble the execution. The fact that Flawless, it's only a 3-second window, but he couldn't immediately follow up. By the time he does get there and pop the Paranoia, the Lamb's respite is out. He knows that there's no execution available, so the Nocturne is doing nothing for you this fight.
Unfortunate stuff. I mean, Rogue Warriors, they'll continue to do so. They'll never be dissuaded by how this has gone, but multiple times the bottom lane's died. And we'll say that we're in the mid game, but we are split up across the board right here. And it's a question of what are Rogue Warriors going to do in terms of assignments. Will they be able to move and find traps in the right places? Because they will continue to try. More often than not, someone will be out of position for them to catch, but so far that hasn't happened. And Rogue Warriors will get themselves another Mountain Dragon.
But it's also much harder to play that type of style for game number 2 because of the differences in the adaptations that RNG have made on their composition. Yep. Having access to the Shin and your, decent global presence, you can't really find those same picks that you would splitting up the map or playing a side lane. So I feel like Rogue Warriors, again, we're still in the bomb shelter and we're waiting about 10 minutes until they have the proper items, and then they're going to plant their feet and try to run front to back 5v5 type of composition.
It's a question of, is there going to be enough of the Rift left? Post nuclear winter, is there going to be anything for them left to reclaim and take? So far RNG are doing so much. Take a look at the gold real quick. Bottom side difference, mid lane slight advantage.
That is 3k between the junglers.
Yeah, we found it. Top side as well, pretty sizable lead. 1,500 gold over to the tie. That was first tower dropping plus the CS and the assists going over to his side as well. So yeah, top side of the map is the one that's really benefiting from these early plays out from RNG.
Yeah, and in the isolated 1v1, I feel like in the 5v5, it's okay. Mundo, I don't want to call him a low econ top laner, but the fact is that since his ultimate allows him to get health back, you kind of get, a free Warmogs essentially, so you can itemize into either your MR or your armor, in his case looking for the Sunfire, and then have the passive regen from your ultimate every time you want to pop it that a Warmogs would have given you if you had built it. But in the 1v1 duel between Darius and Mundo, it's bad news. It does not feel good. But 5v5s, he's okay.
Fantastic, yeah, exactly. The other thing is you really want a health stack into someone with an execute, a flat damage nuke coming in from the true damage out from his ultimate, the Noxane Guillotine. Always nice to have just extra health to avoid that one. And RNG pushing into the jungle, yeah, I mean, Rogue Warriors are well aware of this, but there's just not a whole lot they can do about it other than just stop them if they push too far into their side of the map. Right now, RNG, again, looking for this mid lane push. Take it down to half before this mid wave fizzles. Pops the paranoia. We're going in very deep right now. And only now do we get the ball on top of Flawless. Everyone kites away. There's a great knockout coming in. It's going to be the first kill over to Rogue Warriors this game, followed by a second. The ramp comes in, and the Forge God finds 3. But they're still on the retreat right here. RNG take a little too much.
How do Rogue Warriors do it? The fact that Flawless had access to perfect timing was the only way that that play works there. He ults in, he immediately goes for the perfect timing, and they have the choke point to fight in. So beautifully done from Rogue Warriors, but I'm just frankly amazed at the consistency that they can make those types of scrappy comeback plays.
And it really is the consistency of just the random mid-game fights, right? It's just like they'll just keep coming at you, and it's like, surely, we've beaten them down so many times, they won't engage in us another time. Surely not for the 4th time this game.
Beautiful setup as well, having the control ward available for Flawless so he can position it. They wait until they're going through the choke point before looking in. Klua also great follow-up, helps set up the shockwave, and at that point, RNG are like, we've been hit by a car, we've lost 2 members, cut our losses.
Yeah. Cut off the leg. Let's limp out.
I don't need it, doctor.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I'll self-operate. Oh yeah, problematic. I mean, again, that was the combo not really coming together. The ball was on top of Flawless, but Doink was too far away. But that was part of the base at the same time.
Isn't it so funny that they still... It's not the wombo combo that you want to see, but you can see, like, the epiphany across Rogue Warriors. Like, I see it. I know exactly what I want to do.
But the other problem is it's still working, so it's like, it could be much better, but it's still working, it's still getting back into the game, they're still stalling out RNG, so I'm like, okay, alright. But imagine if it does hit, right? Like, I imagine it in my mind's eye, like the perfect shockwave on top of the Nocturne when he swings in. And that's what Rogue Warriors are looking for, it could be devastating. And now they're actually in a position where it can do some serious harm. Before RNG, I mean, it had not dropped a single beat, right? Like, they'd managed to take everything away from Rogue Warriors without them taking anything back.
I think it does go back to RNG's vision, the fact that they haven't been paying a lot of respect to Nocturne's gank paths or paths into fights, because they're constantly getting caught off guard with it. So in game number 1, this is where they stalled out. It really was a Nocturne ultimate that kind of put them from the back foot, and then SMLZ just went crazy. So game number 2, need to give it a bit more respect, as again, Rogue Warriors doing such a phenomenal job, you know, clearing out the defensive vision behind them. They've got 3 control wards in the triangle position around their red buff, and are just inching Flawless forward. He now has access to 2 points in his ultimate, so has the extended range there.
Exactly.
And they're just gonna play this punch over and over again.
Ain't nothing gonna get you down, is what I'm shooting for. RNG, however, gonna make a quick play into the bottom side after rotation using that vision control you were just talking about, Frosk, and that's nice. That's an inner turret going down to RNG, just based on the rotation towards the bottom side. Couldn't react fast enough if you're Rogue Warriors, even playing defensive. It'll just be a nice bit of extra gold going over to Royal. And
it's one of the byproducts, the fact that while you're trying to create the space for Nocturne and just inch him up no man's land, it means that it's a slow process that you have to have your support kind of scout through with his oracles.
Bring up the cannon. Nocturne's inside.
The artillery shells coming through. And
use
while
the shell.
They're setting up and expending all of that time to do so, RNG had completely capitalized the bottom side of the map and were able to get the free tower.
You know, I thought that RNG, they had the recipe. You know, they've been iterating on the recipe. They've been adding, you know, a bit of spice here and there.
Still 4K up.
This time they put in the Casa, and they're like, this is it. This is the special sauce. Casa's the sauce. Yes, they are still 4K up, but Rogue Warriors, I mean, the fact that they've managed to find us again in the mid game, it's like, great. Casa got us through the early game really, really well. Fantastic. I mean, we had a similar situation in game 1, but this is way more devastating. Because, I mean, look at this Kindred. I mean, 2 items and a QSS at 20 minutes. That's insane from a jungler. But still, we're in a situation, the same one as game 1, where Rogue Warriors could just hit them with that punch, and then they'll go down.
I don't know. I kind of feel like at this point, the difference is that if Rogue Warriors actually hit them with the sucker punch, they'd shatter their hand.
Frost, that's what you said to me over WeChat when we were at Rift Rivals. Can you remind me what happened in that game?
Well, Rogue Warriors won, but to be fair, that was King Zone. RNG don't choke on the international stage.
This isn't the international stage, this is the domestic one. This is the LPL.
They
way
definitely
different.
do that.
Yeah, there you go. It's not going to dissuade them from going towards this dragon. Then this is another mountain dragon. Third one of the game. They get on top of a structure, it's dead. So dead. And Baron too.
That big thing for me is really the Baron.
Yeah.
Baron be real dead.
Yeah.
Well dead.
That's yep. That's SMLZ on top side. Not going to get caught out by him. You've also got Kahlua just onto the side.
This is,
around.
I mean, this guy's been sitting up here for a long time. We were talking about how SMLZ likes to acquire most of his leads post 10 minutes. And this is the formation that they use, and this is Kahlua's responsibility. He is babysitter, he is scout. And I think if we're talking about kind of Ming is the one true support, Mako's the engaged support, Kahlua is the scout.
The scout, that's fair, yeah. Not the mid laner, but yeah, he is definitely a scout in the broad terms for sure. You know, I think about Rogue Warriors right now. They keep picking up names, and I'm just like, who's going to take them out? Imagine if they win here, Frosk. We're in cross-conference. Who's going to beat them? I'm looking at that conference right now. I'm looking at well,
I'll tell you that JD Gaming just beat them.
Yeah, but who else?
Yeah, but name another.
Yeah, but name... What did they recently?
Well, Edward Gaming beat them.
Yeah.
Should I keep going?
But who... I'm just saying, Rogue Warriors right now, like, they're going to take a playoff spot regardless. I mean, that's what we're looking at
understand that you're high up on the Rogue Warriors. They're a fun team. They're really easy to get behind. Very emotional. They play really cool compositions. They do crazy things. They're everything that's good about League of Legends, but they're also everything that's terrible about your solo queue games.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, definitely don't be as Bruins, not just the Chinese solo queue, but definitely some solo queues across the world. RNG, what are we looking for right here? Setting up Ming in the brush.
We're looking for power
fried
move.
chicken.
Oh, he flashed it!
Kahlua!
Too hot.
He's a damn good scout, that's what I'm telling you. He was ready.
Just
finger
easy.
on the flash button.
Oh.
Crispy. He doesn't have flash this time. He's doing it again. This guy's a madman. Oh, he's recalling on a ward as well. But Ming doesn't have his flash. And he's been, and now he's just been tagged by Baron.
Meanwhile, Mouse
that's three Baron shots
in the bottom, and he's having to back into Fog of War. You don't want to burn your teleport here, Mouse. No, Kahlua, please.
Whoop, round whoop, everyone get in.
Oh
no! Pops the ultimate apprehend. He's been caught red-handed.
Oh, disaster. Kahlua was looking so good. The scout was caught. He was ambushed. It wasn't fair.
I appreciate it though, that flash was sick.
Joinby's trying to get over so he can get the blue trinket in the pit.
Teleport! Here we go, Rogue Warriors. SMLZ caught by the Ornhorn, the Ram. Found on the counter swing. No! SMLZ with the dodge, and that's a big shockwave coming out of Joinby. It's not going to be the kill, but it's a damn lot of damage. And that sends Casa packing and Mouse to split push Mundo.
Yeah, it did use his teleport there. You can see it's on cooldown, so it looked like he canceled it, but continuing to push forward. And oh my god, I cannot believe it. Rogue Warriors actually held that. Oh.
Rogue Warriors is a special sauce, man. Something about this team, they just managed to pull it out in those clutch situations.
I do not know how SMLZ can sit in his chair with balls that big. He literally walked up to a five-man stack of RNG, looked down the barrel of Ornhorn, and just casually sidestepped out of it.
So it's SMLZ things, man. This guy's insane. And calm at the same time.
But the big thing is that it eats so much momentum and so much time of RNG, because now the amount of setup, a lot of their vision has expired.
It's fine.
You can see that they're now trying to quickly layer it back over, but they don't have any vision on the back side of the pit, save for the ward that Clue is on now, and just the ones they've now placed over the Baron wall.
I think that Rogue Warriors can actually take the new moniker, right? Because we're talking about OMG, they were meant to be the international team who performs well under pressure. You put them in the best of five. I think you give that over to Rogue Warriors now. This is a type of team
They need to win the series first, Pulse.
If they win the series, this is the type of team that you can call the team who will not choke under pressure. They rise to the occasion.
Close the script. Shh.
This is called a setup, Frosk. I want to say all this at the end. I want it to be set up. And if they lose, then we just never talk about it again.
But think of, this is a perfect example about how much time a small maneuver like SMLZ approaching from mid lane has bought Rogue Warriors. Because this is now, what, 2-3 snowballing into 4 minutes where RNG are constantly having to make their backs, reset their side waves, grab new vision, walk it to the pit.
I mean, just look at like the defensive plays coming out there, because we saw Xiaohu just pop his teleport moving to the mid lane. Yes, he's trying to reduce the amount of time it takes for him to rotate, but it's like, well, this is bad. But it means that moving towards Baron, if Rogue Warriors are pressing the area, then they would have to rotate to that. So it's them making reactive and defensive plays to Rogue Warriors right now, who are still technically on the back foot when you're taking a look at the gold, when you're taking take a look at the map, but it's still them controlling the pace of the game. They're pulling the strings right now.
I don't know. I feel like RNG are actually pulling the strings. And I feel like Rogue Warriors are just hanging on to this puppet.
Or maybe they are the puppet, and the puppet's holding onto the strings from the bottom, like he's fighting back. This is what I'm looking at right now.
I just feel... What do I feel? I feel like
what do I feel?
This is very, very tense.
Yep.
That RNG are looking at Let Me, so he's positioned away from the team, looking for a good angle with the Ornn ultimate, and that this is just one toe out of line and everything blows up, but much more in favor of RNG.
I mean, we've got to look at what that looks like, right? You look at Kahlua, you look at Flawless, Catalyst for a fight. Who's going to be the spark? Look at RNG as well. Catch someone in a room prison. Ming flies in. His flash is about to come off cooldown. Now,
a big issue is take a look at Flawless's items. He's tried to back about 3 times right now, but obviously we're in a very precarious situation because RNG have complete control around this pit as well as 3 Mountain Dragons. This is his 4th attempt to back, and look at his items. You could tell what he wants to buy, and it would be huge for this fight.
And there it is.
Finally gets it back, has the GA, but here we go, RNG on the Baron.
It's been started. They know this has happened. Wall over the wall on that one from the red buff. Ball comes in. It's going to be on Joinby looking for the steal right here. Comes out for the shockwave. And it's stolen! Oh, the Blaze! What? Are you kidding me? The follow-up comes in for RNG. Can they find the Rogue? Can they find him in the throne room? Because right now, it's an all-out brawl. Flaws in the middle of this one. He's going to get some help from Kindred. Mouse over the wall. He finds Karsa. Xiaohu shot down by SMLZ as he looks towards Ming, the Paladin. Joinby gets one in the pit. Turned around on SMLZ. Flash over the wall. He's got Kahlua on the back pocket. The bodyguard is here. And he double taps Let Me. The chase down continues. 3 kills for 1 Rogue Warriors. And Mouse, it's Let Me caught in this trap. Oh, what? How can you do that as Ornn? He gets a kill in return, 2 for 4.
But ultimately, still a massive win across the board for Rogue Warriors. I don't think I've ever seen Karsa be in a pit and not secure the Baron there. Huge oversight. I cannot believe he got that. Was it
SMLZ.
Was it with the ult or the Ardent Blaze?
It was either Culling or Ardent Blaze. It was one of the 2. There's no other way that Lucian could steal it from over the wall. But it was Joinby. I was looking at that, and it looked like they were like, okay, we burst now, we pop the shockwave, we followed the overtime damage from SMLZ, but I've got to see that one more time.
And it was just the windows that they were playing with, trying to get Flawless, that Guardian Angel. Gets it with the calling, doesn't secure the Baron, and then from bad to worse. So the best thing here is all of the vision control with the control wards that Rogue Warriors have for this area, and you're going to see multiple mechanical errors from RNG, including a missed smite from Xiaohu. Flashes into the wall, is unable to get over the wall to help Ming, and everything just falls apart. Now on the back half, of course, SMLZ, bit overzealous.
The red mist descends.
Let me get something back for RNG, but what the...
I feel you. I mean, this is Rogue Warriors, man. That's what I'm talking about. It's a team who can perform under pressure.
This just should not happen to a team like RNG. There is too much collective experience across that roster for that to be excusable.
SMLZ cutting back down into the respite, but he's found a very angry Darius, but here's the rest of the team. What did you say about my AD carry? Well, they just took him down. Rogue Warriors, can they turn this? Because Kahlua getting chased out of here. Dunk! Down comes the Darius. He's looking for more. Kite back. Great shockwave. Follow through. Dunk! Number 2 for Zatai.
And now suddenly Shu is on the other foot. It had to drop. Rogue Warriors fall off of the expectations. They land splat on reality and remind everyone, RNG still the better team.
They're going to turn around. They see the rope descending from the rafters, and they turn around and give them the backhand. Rogue Warriors getting pushed back now into the top side. RNG pushing into this tower. Teleport comes down onto the cannon. Interesting play, but they will be able to take this tower down. 30 seconds on Joinby, 7 on Kahlua, 10 on SMLZ. Shubity and Hib and back away, but the potential for more. They look for the rotate towards the mid lane, take out the minion wave, and back away.
Big key factor is the fact that Mouse still has access to the Baron, so able to empower the creeps. So even just between the 2 members of Nocturne and Mundo, they managed to hold off RNG. But taking another look at what actually happened here, Flawless, I think, is back in base? Why do they keep getting caught out?
I mean, right there, SMLZ unfortunately dashed into a Darius, which was unfortunate, and the whole team had to react towards the play. And then from there, it was just a chase down, and Zatai caught multiple members on the axe, giving him extra ability to survive in that fight. So
just a very weird spot to get caught. You know, you have Baron, and then the immediate, you know, play that we come into is them, multiple members, I think Flawless was dead for the majority of that, then respawned to the back half of it, dying in their own jungle.
And yeah, it's difficult to say who was the perpetrator of that one. Was it?
Well, I have to see the actual setup, not
from
just the
beginning.
fight
Yeah, exactly. So it's difficult to say where the blame lies, but either way, it's Rogue Warriors at the end of the day. You know, what exactly went wrong for them? Because that was a miracle play at Baron. There was a potential for the full turnaround, but RNG, I mean, you put a step wrong, even when they're on the back foot, they will find you and they will kill you.
And it just takes all of the wind from their sails, you know, having that miracle steal, feeling that you could finally start playing offensively now. And no, look at this composition and look at all of those items now completed for RNG's members. This composition is still incredibly potent and powerful and so difficult to deal with because of how much CC can be layered there.
What does that mean now looking forward? Well, we're looking towards a dragon, which will be spawning soon at TM. Not right now, but again, Rogue Warriors on the defensive. Baron buff should have worn off by now. SMLZ into the top side, doesn't have teleport. Right now, RNG are knocking on the front door, or at least the bottom door. They're looking for an engage though. These guys are absolutely insane. Turns around with the ramp, looking for the knockup, finds it onto floors, joining me back and away, just get the taunt right there. Ming, good luck though. If he found that, that could have been... Okay, I was confused for a second. Jahu moving back towards his team. That could have been big right there. But again, Kahlua looking for an engage. And I suppose he's farming top.
I like the decision making though to try to force the Lamb's respite or try to test Karsa. Like, are you going to get it off in time? Am I going to pop you like a balloon? And the fact that Rogue Warriors are able to do all of this while their ADC is simultaneously topside, getting all of that free XP, all of that gold, and as well as hold the incoming super waves is very impressive. So again, it's teams that are constantly running into Rogue Warriors and just not knowing what to expect. And because they're caught off guard, they kind of lose their fortitude. They lose their direction about what they want to do.
This is just, it's nuts. We keep talking about like, oh, momentum's lost. I mean, Rogue Warriors now playing from the back foot. And then just give them the knee, you know? It's just like, there's always something, they always have something. Pocket sand, you know? There's always something that they have to throw out. You know, the way I described them at Rift Rouse when I was watching, I was like, they're on the crazy hot scale. And it's like, how are we near the red zone right now? Are we too far into crazy? Because all I'm seeing right now is hotness.
You have a triangle. You get to pick two.
What's the third?
Isn't it like I don't know, emotional well-being?
Oh, right, I see.
No, that would definitely be crazy.
Yeah.
I know that there's a third one.
There's a third one,
I don't look at it often.
I'm just talking about the line graph, the scale.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. But yeah, they're close to the danger zone, but I love it. Rogue Warriors again pushing out of the base, find that engage. Now moving up to the mid lane, in fact, with 3 members. They're looking at a Mundo and it's just like, I don't know whether to engage on this Mundo or not. I don't know if this is a mousetrap.
But here's the thing, they've been in this position 3 times in a row now. They're like, okay, everyone calm down, just keep comms clear. We can do this, we can siege. But it feels like they keep trying to storm this castle and then just like ambush. They're coming out of the bushwork. I want to say woodwork. Because apparently I'm a carpenter now.
The woodworks.
Woodworks?
No.
Bushworks?
Wait. Oh, no. Uh-oh.
Everything's on fire.
I hear you, Raz. Shut up. RNG. I mean, this is their own home, right? This is their palace. Like, they should know this like the back of their hand. But for some reason, Rogue Warriors just running around, knocking over the base. They're just like, now what? What are you going to do? Get off your throne.
You walk into your kitchen and they're just all sitting at the table. Welcome to breakfast.
Yep. Okay, and now we're back at Baron again. We've done all of this. We've done the, what was it, the progressive breakdancing, and now we're back here. We're at Baron.
But the thing that you need to pay attention to is what's happening with your side wave. So Darius has repeatedly pushed, and he's actually doing Elder Dragon right now. He's pushed up the bottom wave and constantly been feeding it into the bot side, as well as the top side in him still being down. So the super creep's doing all of the work there. And with these 2 pressure points, they've opened up to 2-man this Elder.
Sombrero on the floor, followed up with the culling. Gonna have to go back to base right here, and you're absolutely right. Elder went down. Well played by RNG. They were keeping him towards topside. It was enough in the tank right there to stop them from pushing towards the Elder. And Rogue Warriors on the defensive. Now there is a play towards the Baron here from RNG. Regain position around mid. Look to pivot. Ming on his way back to base has the Stand United.
And I like the fact that... Careful.
Steady.
I like the fact that RNG aren't immediately forcing the Baron, maybe feeling a little bit skittish because the steal went through the first time around. And, you know, watching Kingzone versus MVP earlier on today, Papa Smithy made a great point about as Kindred is cropping back up into the meta, games naturally are getting longer, not just because her ability to stop assassinations and to stall out team fights because of Lamb's Respite, but also the control over Baron. Now, we didn't see it in the first instance, but how that can significantly change how you're approaching Baron setup and Baron fights themselves is something that teams, I think, just need to get over the growing pains again and kind of remember how to set up these fights, what to do with Kindred when she's in the pit, and preferably on both sides this time, not
That's
just
fair, yeah. I mean,
losing to Culling.
I mean, that's just the thing, right? Like, a lot of things just go out of memory. It's like something that you've learned, but it's something you learned like 2.5 years ago in a very specific meta, and then you have to pull on those experiences. And that's talking about experience, once again, from RNG. You know, it's just like there's a lot of members here who have played this game for a long, long time and have played through these scenarios before, right? So it's about just going into the Mind Palace, just picking it up, opening the folder, and it's like, all right, this is what we do in this situation.
My favorite quote from a StarCraft player was, I'm not the best because of my talent, I'm the best because I've played every single situation, that I have a muscle memory for everything you can throw at me.
Yep, some of these old players, especially the older games right now, you look at League of Legends, it's a pretty old game right now in terms of esports, not compared to, you know, likes of the RTS games like StarCraft, etc.
I'm 10 years older than most of these players. I feel real old.
That's fair. RNW over the wall. You've got Flawless looking for his Paranoia. It's down to 4,000 HP, moving towards the pit, backing away. RNG teasing us right now.
It's also about where Let Me is swinging out, where he's trying to find the angle for the Ornhorn. Of course, their primary form of engagement outside of a flash taunt from Ming.
And it's scary because you don't want to go down to a 50-50. We've already done that once this game. And if again it just happens to go over to SMLZ, Ardent Blaze, Culling, whatever. Bad situation to be in. Gleaming Quill over the wall, who knows?
They have eyes on Orianna, which is why they're stepping forward.
To clear this top wave, get these to bounce. Bottom wave is in favor, it looks like, of RW. We'll see if this wave crashes. Oh, over the wall, apprehend! They've caught Flawless! He reaction pops the ultimate. Rogue Warriors need to react, they push forward. SMLZ chunks Xiaohu down to blinking red HP, but Baron is angry and he's damaging Flawless, has to flash the wall. No way for this Nocturne to make it over once again. That was a one-way trip.
I like the patience from Flawless though. He didn't want to have to force the flash immediately. He wanted to see if RNG would walk away from the pit to see if he could walk out of it, but they know he's back in base, he's healing up, they're gonna burn Baron.
SMLZ recalled too. There's only 3 members here from Rogue Warriors. One over the wall. It hasn't been control warded. Buying time with your Orn ultimate. They find the knockup. Mouse has the flash, looking for this. Let me zoning away. Shockwave. Oh my god, Doiby! Second steal of the game to Rogue Warriors.
Are you kidding me? Just press your smite!
Burst at the right time, please!
Oh boy, that is gonna hurt. Karsa, the early game was so good from him, but RNG's inability to coordinate, to smite down, to burst it at the correct moment, or even just to hold it off. Split second too.
Ridiculous coming out of this man.
There are so many different ways you could tackle this. You could have multiple people stand on the back of the pit to try to zone them away. You see that the Orianna ball is in the pit. You know that there's only one way that they take that steal. Absolutely.
My lord. And you heard it from the crowd as well. You know, we talked the other day about them silencing Beijing. This time there is a big following from Rogue Warriors. And all eyes just has to be on that ball. Bam! 700 HP.
I mean, I'll give it to you now, Pulse. Under pressure, back-to-back Baron steals, 2 different members, and Rogue Warriors somehow find themselves still in this game after what was just a disgusting early game from RNG.
That's why we set it up. Never give up, never surrender. Rogue Warriors, the counterpunch is strong. It is real, and it is here in the mid lane.
I have a feeling we're pulling that up to hard circle the Gathering Storm.
Yeah, 40 minutes, how we're looking.
And his damage is disgusting right now. Check out the itemization. We saw him almost 100 to 0 Xiaohu in the last Baron engagement
from
just with the culling.
Yeah. Pushing in the mid lane, Mouse is just the biggest tank you've ever known.
Get all the Gathering Storms.
Oh, who's got Gathering Storm? There's one to SMLZ, one to Xiaohu. Unfortunately, doesn't give defensive stats when SMLZ is punching you in the face. But Rogue Warriors pushing down the mid lane. Ornhorn, defensive formation, lads. Join gets knocked up, and it's the counter engage. There's the shockwave combo. Kindred pops the ultimate down, buying a bit of time. The respite is good. Double knockup onto the front line, but Zatai is getting ripped apart by SMLZ. He's going to jump forwards. He goes down into the Guardian Angel. Give him the 10 count. Let me buy a bit of time. And now Mouse, he's just in the back lines, running rampant. Down goes the Ornn. The Forge God will be heard no longer. And Rogue Warriors are pushing down the mid lane.
And they've done it without Uzi. SMLZ says there's no one to stop me. I'm #1 now, and he leads them to victory.
Rogue Warriors dropping RNG, dropping everything in their base. Gonna get a return kill. Zatai's gonna give it the old college try, but Rogue Warriors, they say screw the dagger. We're just gonna punch RNG in the face.
Miracle comeback from Rogue Warriors, not once but twice on the Baron steals. The camera guy knows it. He immediately zooms in on Karsa. It was a team failure ultimately from RNG. It's not just the jungler. You have to coordinate that. You have to have the communication. And Karsa has had such a consistent record of securing those types of monster objectives. But under the spotlight, under the crowd, under the vision of Beijing, they fall short. And now you could say, Pulse, that Rogue Warriors show up when it counts.
Yes, they can, Frostgurin. Oh my. Rogue Warrior is going to be handling that from the crowd as well. As we said, it sounds like a 50-50 split out there in Beijing right now. Incredible stuff. I mean, just the tenacity of this team is just absurd. They will never go down without a fight. It will keep on fighting till the bitter end. And they always find a way to surprise, you know? They just always find a way. Like, you could be any team looking at them down the barrel and be like, I know they're going to come at us, but they always do it in an unexpected way.
It's been a while since we've had a true Chinese aggression team. Like, I hate that meme. I hate that phrase. I hate what it's become on the international stage and to the Western audience in particular. But for Rogue Warriors, it's appropriate.
It's applicable. Yep. I mean, I made the comparison earlier for us to
OMG?
Yeah, to OMG. Who are they? The classic Chinese aggression team. I think, honestly, we can pass on that belt and give it to Rogue Warriors. You know, they perform under pressure, they play up when it counts, and they are the Chinese aggression team.
And with their yin and yang
Bloody
duo
hell.
in that ADC and mage position.
What is that goal graph?
Dwayne B and SMLZ, the true heroes of this game.
Oh man. 100%.
Oh, there's a nice little hill.
Yeah.
Is that, whoop?
Yeah, pretty much. And those are two big splashes, right, into the tank. And yeah, good old Rogue Warriors. Good old Rogue Warriors. In Beijing, no less as well. That's back-to-back series losses coming in from RNG. First to FPX, second to RW just now.
When you win a game for 99% of it, you were behind, and you had less kills than the enemy team.
Yep, sounds about right. Sounds like a Rogue Warriors game. Sounds like a normal Sunday night to me, Frosk.
Good luck, analyst desk.
Yeah, no, best of luck. Yeah, we're just going to send it over. Best of luck.
Well, in the words of Scar, they were winning the game until they lost the game, which is pretty much what happened. Raz, RNG were meant to win this best of 3 series. What happened?
Well, Rogue Warriors happened. We were in the middle of that game. And you know the exact words I said to you. You were saying that to him too, so you calm down with that bag.
You both said it. I said that Rogue Warriors still have a chance, and then what did you both tell me?
200%. 200%. No way do Rogue Warriors win that game. Because not only is every single lane losing on RW side, with individual errors that they were making, but the Kindred was fed. The entire composition that you would think there's like, oh, maybe there's a chance for Rogue Warriors to win. It's not going to happen because they had so many options to fight, to win, and to secure Baron, and they took none of that.
Yeah, RNG, I don't know what they were doing, hey.
You
but
said
Rogue Warriors won, so that's what matters in the end for me, right? We predicted them, so go me.
This guy.
Yeah.
you told me 1000% RNG win that match.
Too many Doritos right now, they're too.
Doritos. Well, let's take a look at the first point of where Rogue Warriors were able to start their comeback. It started with a Nocturne fight around red buff, and we thought this was absolutely silly.
This was the point where we said it's 10,000% over and Rogue Warriors pull the rabbit out of the hat, right? That's the thing that Rogue Warriors will always do. And we compared them to OMG in the caster desk. I'm actually also going to compare them to Snake in terms of their strengths. And that is that they are so good at the spontaneous team fighting, and they are so good at team fighting in general, that any time that they see an opportunity, and it's usually item spikes, they win that opportunity, even if they shouldn't.
And just remember, up to this point, RNG was 6,000 gold ahead. That's how far they'd become before that play happened, Raz.
And the major gold was on the Kindred. So remember, a lot of this is, remember what Kindred is. A counter to the Nocturne in the sense that when Nocturne dives in, the execution should not happen because Kindred Ultimate should guarantee you that. But in that fight, we saw the Darkness really close off any idea of if there was going to be follow-up in that fight. So Kindred, full HP, thinking, I should not die in this situation. Feared by Nocturne. Immediate follow-up with the Rakan you did not see. And so in that situation, you feel real bad as the Kindred when you cannot lose it. Well, you lose in that situation, so immediately buys QSS going forward because that mistake was learned.
And it was quite scary because at that point we were saying, okay, this still should be RNG's game. That's only 2 kills. But we looked at the CS. Orianna was 100 CS up over Let Me on. And the only leads RNG had were on Kindred as well as Darius. About 1,000, 2,000 gold.
Yeah, to be fair, that was after this fight as well. So that was at about 15 minutes in the game. And from 15 minutes to 24 minutes, this is where RNG still had control of the map. They fought it back. They found a couple of picks here and there. But then they still never started the Baron. They were just looking at the Baron. They were threatening for the Baron. They were saying, we wouldn't just do this with 3 Earth Dragons, would we? And they didn't.
Which brings Exhibit A.
Yes, it does. Constant fights that happen around the area. Opportunities for things like a culling at 11 HP was the number before the culling connected on that. That point in the game, the Smite does more.
I'm absolutely upset. Just because, look at Kindred. Smite, that's an immediate one. Everyone can poke holes on that one. Kindred Ultimate, you can stop them from picking it up. And this is solely towards the Orianna ulti, which we will talk about in the very near future. So there are so many ways for RNG to not only secure the Baron, but the more secure path a lot of the times is not to finish Baron, but when you're going up against a weaker team, to actually just utilize the Rise ultimate so you can force the fight. Have Ornn sitting in midst with the Ornn ultimate waiting to engage. So there is a lot of engage opportunities that RNG has done in the past. And instead of fighting, they tried for the 50-50s numerous times.
Now, at this point, you could probably say, okay, he didn't want to throw the Kindred ultimate out. He didn't want to go for the 50-50 smite there. So he held on to it, tried to go for the finish instead. They were able to pick off Rogue Warriors after this. They found a fight. But then Exhibit B comes along.
And this is where a Kindred ultimate is worth it. The reason that it is, right? We're at 38 minutes into the game. Shockwave does more damage than Smite. So that is the #1 biggest risk that you could ever take, taking on a Shockwave that is in the pit. The ball is on the Baron. My only assumption here is that Caster couldn't see the ball because it was on top of the Baron. So it was actually pretty much clouded. It was shrouded there. You wouldn't be able to see it, maybe camouflaged in. And he saw a window of opportunity that wasn't actually there. That's the only real justification I have for that one.
But I'm just more upset because we've seen these plays being made by RNG in the past where they have so much Baron control. They have had the Rise on Xiaohu repeatedly, his favorite champion. And what is Xiaohu known for? Xiao is known for his Realm Warps to get the fights going. Incredibly creative to either rush Baron, you know, breaking the enemy team's ankle, or to start the fight. And top laners, Let Me and Zatai, have always been known for looking for proper flanks. So why in this case, in this game, did they not go for that option other than maybe just a brain fart is what I could say.
Remember, right before that Baron take as well, they were able to sneak away Elder Dragon. RNG had Elder Dragon for an extended period of time with 3 Mountain Drakes to boot, and they weren't able to do anything from it except try to start Baron, force Flawless back to base, and then lose Elder Dragon going into the next fight.
When you have a decision-making tree, you know, when there's a multiple choice question on the 4 options that you've got, there's do Baron, take the Smite, there is turn and fight, use the Rise ultimate, there is disengage, and then there is take on the Orianna in a Smite battle, and they somehow choose option D that wasn't in the list is beyond me. And that's the only reason that like a lot of this conversation right now is irrationally upset by the outcome of this game. Because that should be a game 3 that we're going to right now. That ended as a 2-0 because RNG genuinely made mistakes. And I really want to compliment Rogue Warriors for winning that game, but they took it from RNG as RNG kind of gifted it to them. That's where I think we're drawing that crossroads.
Yeah, I mean, for us, we look at that decision-making tree, what we would expect to be a wisdom tree. They just saw a twig. There was only one decision, and they just went for that decision. I don't know why it happened, and it's unfortunate now they're reaping. At least they're tending to their own wounds.
Well, after multiple setbacks, you know, RNG was still sitting in the base saying, okay, maybe we can defend against the Baron buff. But no, Rogue Warriors say one final team fight is all it's going to take between us and winning the game, and they found the team fight.
And here's the thing, Rogue Warriors team fighting is actually super strong just because of the fact that they have the 80 carry. Sure, you're talking about Kindred, but SML Xeon Lucian and List this late in the game with the cleanse, incredibly high value, didn't even need to utilize the 2 summoner spells just because of how far ahead they were at this point in time compositionally.
But RNG did take your advice, Raz. They forced the team fight. Did you see the team fight they forced with Ornn right there?
I'm upset. You're trying to get something out of me, and I'm not going to let it happen. Play the Baron fights well, please.
I'm not commenting past that. He's just trying to get us going.
Please.
Yeah.
But they didn't. unfortunately, the winner will play around those Baron fights. Final team fight goes in favor of Rogue Warriors. They take all the points today, and RNG drop another match. After dropping to FPX, now they've dropped to Rogue Warriors.
Proper team fighting. I mean, at the end of the day, Rogue Warriors coming out of this, they recognize what their strengths are. Doinby and primarily SMLZ, incredible team fighter, once again on the Lucian pick. So we've seen him get Lucian time and again. A lot of that is not afforded to an Uzi. Some teams just ban it away from him, but SMLZ, he somehow still gets the pick in the second phase of pick and ban, and then he lets the enemy team know why it's a poor decision.
And for me, there is a couple of takeaways from this one, and that is that Rogue Warriors, in terms of recipes of beating them, they play entirely around item spikes.
Yes.
Their windows of opportunities are, we have completed an item, we go now. So you could play compositions, and RNG did this to a degree here, that spiked better at those moments. Think of the Mordekaiser game in Game 1. They spiked at the same time as their opponents, but because it's a one-item spike, RNG just had a better composition. They wiped the floor with them and got the leads. But Rogue Warriors team fighting is the other big takeaway from this. So I think that, whilst that was a good victory in the end for Rogue Warriors, I think they've also opened up the recipe for success in terms of beating them.
Well, now that we've seen RNG lose twice in the same week, on top of that, we've seen them experiment with multiple strategies. Abel's come in and played. We've seen both their junglers play during a final comp, and we normally see Tatai start like we saw in this match with MXG as well as Casa being swapped out. With the performance they've had so far, I wanted to ask the question, are RNG reliant on Uzi for consistency?
For consistency, yes. Honestly, going into today's games, I would have said last set versus FPX didn't matter. You know, they were bringing in Abel. A lot of that's just an anomaly of bringing up an AD carry, going with that same strategy of old, but with a new cog, that's not going to work. So now bringing in what they've been utilizing, which is a tie, and Let Me, and even just, of course, having the jungle swap, that is something they've done recently, in fact, and I feel like that's where you look at that and say, okay, that's a good composition, that's a good team play to have. Problem is, now the decisions are out of whack. So late game, I would say that they can actually still go into the next series without Uzi, and it'll be fine as long as they learn the decisions or learn from the mistakes in this series. But for consistency, if we're talking about MSI champions, they are MSI champions with Uzi on the field. Right now, we still need to gauge where they're at.
Yeah, I think the one thing that is noticeably better with Uzi is just strategic consistency.
Yes.
But that's very obvious, right? If you've got someone that plays AD carries, then your whole team is rehearsed at that style of play, which does revolve around the best AD carry in the world. Very obviously, you'll have more strategic consistency. So I do think that is something that is hurting RNG right now.
For the side of Rogue Warriors, in this match, it was a big team effort to come back into the game against RNG with multiple Baron steals, the last of which was pulled off by Doinby, who farmed up a Storm, stayed silent, hit the shockwaves he needed to, and picked up MVP for game number 2.
That's what happens. I mean, I think Pulse and Frusk said it incredibly well, that this team is battle-hardened, that they get to that point in the game, and it's a never say die, never give up attitude.
We saw it last split as well. I mean, Crit Cogmore came out from SMLZ at 3 items in when we thought the game was over. He managed to find a pick here and there, but it just seems like they are always able to find a way to come back to these tough matches.
Both Doinby and SMLZ are well versed at doing exactly that. You think of OMG, had SMLZ, he was the one true carry. You had QG Reapers, which later become JD, of course. That was where Doinby had to step up. He became the one true super carry, now super carry Doinby. So you put those two in a team, miracles will happen more often than you would expect.
Yeah, so ultimately now, going into the later weeks, especially into playoffs, it feels like if you're going up against RW, it doesn't matter how far ahead you are, you cannot sleep against this team because they will try and find ways back in it. Now, they make a lot of mistakes getting to that point. That's what we saw in the laning phase for this team. All 3 lanes making massive errors to find themselves in the deficit that they were in. But regardless of that, they still see that end game. They still see the Baron play that they can make. And so the execution is what mattered in this game. It ended up getting them the 2nd victory.
All right, gentlemen, we saw Rogue Warriors take the LPL to the 5th game at Rift Rivals. We've seen them have a great start to Spring Split, and now in Summer Split, they're looking a lot better and more consistent. What do they have to do now to become champions of the LPL?
I think they just need to find consistency themselves because we've got moments where, and Frostgren's even said this, right? They are the best team fighting team, but at the same time, they make solo queue mistakes that just give you nightmares. There's recurring individual mistakes. It could be communication in skirmishes. I think Flawless is the one that comes to mind for me. If I was Rogue Warriors and I wanted to be the best team in the league, and you have to beat what is an RNG when Uzi comes back as an example, you need to have a stronger, more coherent strategy and play it consistently, because that lack of consistency is what will be their undoing.
Yeah, and I feel like The major issue Rogue Warriors have right now is in patience. It's been an issue for quite some time with all of these players, honestly. So when they get into the 15 to 20 minute mark, which is just a small point, that's really just comes down to vision control. It's actually their weakest portion of the game. And so if they're a great team fighting team, they have to be able to be proper in setting it up. A lot of the times Rogue Warriors have been finding themselves in a situation where they are on the back foot so often. So now when we go towards playoffs where teams are honestly just figuring things out, being able to now play a proper and perfect game, Rogue Warriors will suffer.
Oh, with Rogue Warriors picking up that win, it ends week 5 of the LPL. So let's take a look at how the teams currently stand, because still in one of the conferences we have 8-1, 8-1 for both RNG as well as JD in the Eastern Conference. The Western Conference has been tied up as Rogue Warriors did it and were able to take down RNG to go head-to-head against EDG.
Yeah, Rogue Warriors versus EDG is always going to be an exciting matchup as we get towards the end of playoffs. First place in each group gets semi-finals berths. Immediately they buy their whole way through, so it's a very big deal. And for RNG, whilst they are now 7-3 in third, there is still a big degree of separation from fourth, so they're still sitting pretty in that regard.
They're sitting pretty, but the second place still gives you a bye in semi-finals, which is important if they want to skip through that first phase.
It's fun to see the Western Conference, this point of it, and you're already talking about first and second. The fact that that the bottom tier teams going up against each other to find themselves in the 4th place spot, so close to each other, all tied really. So Western Coast Conference,
it's tough.
One win in the cross conference can mean the world right now. So TOP they can't be sleeping. Right now they hold the 4th place spot, but any team can pick it up from them.
We still have 2 more weeks of cross conference to play, starting with week 6, which starts tomorrow at 5 o'clock China Standard Time. We'll have our first match. That's going to be between JDG as well as TOP, followed by BLG taking on EDG.
That's one you mentioned, Raz, just before.
Yeah, the fact that TOP, a crucial victory going up against JD, a team that's doing so damn well right now in the Eastern Conference, so that would be an upset victory if they can actually achieve that.
Yeah, JD have been upsetting everyone right now, themselves really forging as a top team in the LPL, and of course that second set, EDG against BLG is an old rivalry. Good friends going against each other, but BLG definitely going to be underdogs in that one, and that may be an understatement.
So before we close out the show, I want to ask, when do we finally accept JDG into the top 5? Because we're talking about the 4 teams with the Rift Rivals as the 4 best. When do we then include JD and say that we have the 5 best teams in the LPL?
Oh, right. I was going to say they're 100% included in
yes,
top 5.
Yes, they're in the top 5.
5th.
But when do we include them when we talk about the Giants? Because even when we came to cross conference, we said we have to watch out for Rogue Warriors, IG, RNG, EDG. When do we say we have to watch out for JDG?
You have to say so. Oh my goodness. Now, actually, I would say in the upcoming weeks, we need to see if, and it sounds like a cliffhanger, see where JDG is going. Because a lot of it comes down to consistency, and also if they have the star players, a lot of questions on Yagao and Loken, while they are performing exceptionally, when you get to playoff time, are we going to list them in the names of Uzi and SMLZ? Because if you're trying to pierce that top 3 spot, you need to be able to do it individually. And I know that me and Clement actually spoke about this in the LPL podcast in episode 3, where we talked about JDG. And remember, they were the team that didn't go to Rift Rivals. They were the 5th team, obviously, performing well this split. And so a big question is, yeah, they could make that run to get into playoffs, easy peasy. But the next step is the most important. New coach home could be the difference.
Yeah, certainly could be. I would be looking at this and saying, if they finish this split top 2 in their conference, then maybe you would consider them one of the top 5 powerhouses, right? And that's because you have to consider them that, as now these top teams are going against them in playoffs to take them down, as they have earned that position. But as an organization, I'll be looking at next split some longevity and some consistency in their performance.
Seems like our analysts agree that you'll find out next time on Dragon Ball LPLZ if JD will be the next top team. But that's the end of our broadcast for today. We still have more LPL action tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. But good night, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you then.